Today, we're going to be talking about a very interesting question that everyone has been asking me to address ever since I uploaded the last episode about 22 questions to ask your partner. You guessed right. We're talking about first date. And as believers, we do not date for the fun of it. We date for purpose. We date for partnership. We date for marriage. We date in order for us to glorify God. And so that's why the questions that you ask someone on your first date, they actually matter a lot. Now, I don't want you to get to your first date and then you start asking them about their childhood trauma, or you're asking them about their vision 2050. You don't need to go into all that details yet. You have enough time to get to that if you make it past the first date. And that is why I am making this episode to talk about 20 questions that you can ask someone on your first date, because I want you to make it past the first date. Like I mentioned earlier, on this episode, I'm going to be sharing with you 20 questions that you can ask someone on your first date. And for those of you that already made it past the first date, I already made a video of 22 questions that you could ask, to get to know your partner better. So I would link that up here for you to watch that, and, hopefully that helps you. But for those that are going on the first date, this is for you. All right. I have created 20 best first date questions that I believe is going to help you get to know the person that you are going on that date. It's going to help you to get to know them better, and it's also going to help them to know you better as well, because the goal of those questions is just for you to kind of talk about your experience, talk about your life, and talk about what has actually made you who you are today. So, what exactly should you ask on a first date? When I think about this, I think about what's appropriate for you to bring up and what isn't. Now, I have divided these questions into 4 different sections in order to help you figure out if you are aligned in values, vision, and personality. Before I get started, I would like to put out a disclaimer that these questions are meant to be asked in a very light-hearted, natural, fun way, not as if you are conducting an FBI interrogation, all right? You're on a date, not a job interview, all right? So I just needed to put that out there. So I would like for you to allow the conversation to flow. So you don't need to ask the question in a rigid manner or in a very structured manner. However you want to ask the question, make sure that you are bringing it up in a very natural manner that doesn't make the person feel uncomfortable, and just makes the person feel comfortable to share certain things about themselves with you. So put that in mind, okay? Like I said earlier, I have divided these 20 questions into 4 different sections just to make things easy for you, because I actually named those sections according to the questions that they have, and they are in no way telling you how to ask these questions. They are just to make things easy for you. So let's say you want to ask them questions based on their spirituality, you just need to go to the section that has questions on spirituality. If you want to ask them questions about your compatibility and your godly values, which is actually the first section, you just need to go to that section and pick maybe 1 or 2 questions in that particular section. Again, you don't need to ask them everything, because as you ask them, maybe the first question is going to give birth to other questions, and then you would have like follow-up questions, and at the end of the day you might not even ask them up to 10 questions, but just to have an idea of where to even start the conversation, because you don't want to sit across from them and just be staring into their eyes saying nothing. It's going to be boring, and you don't want a boring first date, right? So okay, let's get started. I have titled section 1 as compatibility and godly values, just as the name implies, right? And I have 5 questions under this particular section. Question number 1: what made you interested in going out with me? This might seem like a very basic question, and it is actually, but I also believe that it's going to help you set the tone of the date. Because if their response is actually shallow, that might be a red flag. But If they notice your depth, they notice your kindness, they notice how intelligent you are, how caring you are, how smart you are, they notice how you are on fire for God, how passionate you are about the things of God, how godly you are. They notice all of those things and they are saying those things, then you might actually be talking with someone with spiritual eyes and not just carnal ones. Question number 2. What are you currently looking for in this season? This question is very important because I believe that you need to know if you are both on the same page. So you need to know if they are looking for just casual fun or just looking to date casually while you are praying for her partner. You need to know, okay? Now, the reason why this question is important is because you don't want to get caught up in a situationship, because that's actually situationship starts. It starts when both of you are very unclear about what you want. You do not talk about your expectations. You do not talk about what you are looking for, and both of you start to talk, and then you just start to talk, and you're enjoying each other's company, and all of a sudden you guys are acting like boyfriend and girlfriend, but you're not actually exclusive. Asking questions is going to clear all of that confusion, and it's going to save you a lot of stress from you getting angry because they did not call you, whereas you can actually be angry because they are not actually with you. So asking this question is very important. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. And again, don't be afraid to ask this question. It's not desperation for you to say that I'm actually at that stage of my life where I'm looking for something very serious. It's okay to say what you want, what you desire. It's not desperation, it's clarity. All right. Besides, do you know that asking thoughtful questions like this can actually boost your confidence? And people are naturally drawn to confident people. Do you also know that subscribing to the Cut of Love podcast is another way for you to boost your confidence? Yes, because you will get access to content like this that is guaranteed to help you with your personal development and relationship. Come on, you want to subscribe, so just do it already. And it's free. Now, let's get back to our discussion. Question number 3. What role does faith play in your life? This question reviews if God is just a convenience or truly the foundation of their life. You want someone whose relationship with God doesn't start and end on Sundays, especially if that is important to you, all right? So you want to know what their relationship with God is like. This question should be your go-to question when you're trying to figure that out, all right? Question number 4. How do you make time for God during your week? Now, this can be a follow-up question to question number 3, where you're asking them about their faith. The answer that they also give to this question number 4 would determine if the answer they gave to question number 3 was actually genuine or not. It's easy for people to say, oh, I love God, I love him so much, but do they actually spend time with him? Do they prioritize prayer, worship, and community? Because if they don't make room for God, what makes you think that they are going to make consistent room for you? So you want to be sure that this person is not just saying things about what they love about God, but they are actually showing it in their action and in how they prioritize their time. Question number 5. What are your top 3 values in life? Value guides our choices, and if your value clashes, your future might too. Do they value honesty, integrity, kindness, faithfulness, or is it all just vibes and chilling? Just value taking pictures, valuing, let's see how it goes, or whatever works. You need to be sure if you guys have the same value system, all right? Because the truth of the matter is, you need alignment, not just attraction. Now, moving on to section number 2, which I have titled Emotional Maturity and Conflict Resolution. The first question in that category is, how do you handle conflict? You don't want to find out on your first argument that this person would literally shut you out for 3 days, or they throw around passive aggressive shades with you when they are angry with what you've done, or they are mad at you. You don't want that to be your first introduction to how they handle conflict, which is why it's important for you to talk about it before it actually happens, because it's going to help you know if you can even deal with the way they deal with conflict. Still on conflict resolution, there are different ways in which people would like to deal with conflict. There are some people that they would rather not talk about it. They will just sweep it under the carpet and just avoid it altogether, which I believe is going to later lead to resentment down the line. So I do not support that. There are some people that they just want to share what they are going through right there and then, and you have to address it immediately. So there are people like that. And there are also some people that they are just going to be sulking for the rest of the week and just wanting you to apologize to them without telling you what you've done to them. So there are people like that. So you want to understand what their conflict resolution style is, and know if they are someone that would communicate with kindness and clarity in those moments, or someone that is teachable in those moments when they are not particularly happy with what you've done. It's not always going to be rosy. That's the truth. You will not always be in the honeymoon stage. There's going to be a time where you will disagree. There's going to be a time where you would have different opinions, and you need to be able to communicate in those moments with grace and with kindness. Question number 2 in the second section is, who do you go to for advice? Now, this question shows whether they operate in isolation or under accountability. And I think I've said it over and over on this podcast that someone that does not listen to anybody is a dangerous person to attach yourself to. Because the truth of the matter is, we all need someone that is able to help us check our blind spots. And the scripture says in the book of Proverbs that there is safety in the multitude of counselors, not in doing life alone. So you want to be sure about the voices that this person listens to when they need advice or when they need to make a big decision, because you don't want someone that doesn't listen to anybody. That's a very dangerous position to put yourself. Question number 3. What does emotional safety look like to you? Emotional safety is not just about avoiding hurt or avoiding conflict. It's about you creating a safe space for your partner to be vulnerable, to be transparent, and to be honest. You want to know if they can hold space for emotions. You also want to know if they are someone that will affirm your feelings without, minimizing or fixing it. You want to know if they are someone that you can be vulnerable with and can also be vulnerable with you. Not someone that will be forming hard guy, hard girl. You need to know. So, what does emotional safety look like to you? Question number 4 in this section is, what are your non-negotiables in a relationship? Now, this question gives you insights into their boundaries, into their standards, and if they are actually driven by their own personal conviction that they've received from God, or if they are just driven by, let's just go with the flow. Knowing they are non-negotiable is also going to help you determine if yours align or if there's a major disconnect. And the truth is, I think you want to know early on, so you don't waste your time, you don't waste their time. Everybody is fine and happy. All right. So what are some of your non-negotiables in a relationship? Question number 5 in the second section is, are you able to set boundaries and honor other people's boundaries? These questions help you determine if they can say no respectfully and if they can also take no from you without punishing you for it. And again, boundaries protect connection, and if someone cannot respect your boundaries, they cannot respect you. Now, moving on to section 3, which is checking their relationship readiness. That's the name for section 3. And I also have 5 questions on this section. Question number 1, what's your idea of a Christ-centered relationship? This question is a fantastic question for you to determine if you have the same mindset about a godly relationship. It helps you determine if they value purity and what does even purity looks like to them in a relationship. Because trust me, it's going to surprise you how you would say both of you are believers, but then you have different varying opinions as to what purity looks like in a relationship. So asking this question is going to give you an idea to actually get to know what that looks like to them in a relationship. Do they think that having a Christ-centered relationship is meant to glorify God or to glorify their body? This question would help you determine if you have the same mindset or not. Question number 2, are you close to your family? Their family ties actually gives you insight into how they handle relationship. Do they like to talk about their family, or they do not even respect any of their family members and they resent them? And you also want to understand why, because sometimes their family might actually be the problem. So you want to understand why. Of course, their family relationship does not have to be perfect. Even your family relationship is not perfect. I mean, if it's perfect, that's good for you. But again, it doesn't have to be perfect. But just listen to the way they talk about their family. I think listening to the way people talk about their family actually says a lot about how they navigate, love and even forgiveness. So, are they close to their family? And if they are not close to their family, why are they not close to their family? Of course, if they are comfortable sharing that with you. And if they are not, don't push it. Just let it go. There's going to be many other opportunities for you to get to know about their relationship with their family. Again, the goal is for you to get past the first date, not to get blocked, not to get ghosted after the first date, all right? Okay. Question number 3 under this section is, would you ever go to counseling? Now, a humble, mature person isn't afraid of growth. And contrary to popular beliefs, counseling is not just for crazy people. Actually, counseling is not for crazy people, it's for the committed. And so if they reject the idea completely, that might actually reflect lack of emotional depth, and you might want to ask why they are rejecting it completely. Because as believers, one of the good things that is very important for you to do before you eventually get married is to have premarital counseling. And so if the person is saying they do not want counseling at all, you might need to check that. All right, so are they willing to go to counseling with you? That's a very good question to ask. Question number 4, what do you believe makes a relationship truly healthy? If you are dating for the right intention and not just for the fun of it, this is actually a question that is worth asking, because it's going to help you understand if you are on the same page as to what you value in a relationship. Asking this question is also going to help you determine what the other person thinks about commitment in a relationship, connection, and even what growth looks like. For instance, if you value open communication in a relationship, it's important for you to know whether this person is going to be willing to sit down with you and sort through your misunderstandings, or if this is someone that is just going to sweep things under the carpet because it doesn't really matter to them. So these are questions that you need to actually get out there quickly to determine what they value in a relationship. Do they value the things that you value in a relationship? Do they value open communication, honesty, transparency, trust? All of those things you need to ask them this particular question to determine if they are willing, or if they are on the same page with you, at least on the values that you think um, could help make a relationship healthy or could help make a relationship grow. Question number 5, what are you currently learning in this season? What are they currently learning? It could be spiritually, mentally, emotionally. This question gives you a glimpse into their growth mindset. Are they someone that they have a growth mindset, or someone that just have a very lazy mindset? This question help you to determine that. It also gives you a glimpse into if they are someone that is self-aware, and someone that is open to learning, and someone that is teachable, and someone that is actually letting God to mold them, and not someone that is just pretending. Okay, very good question to ask. What are you currently learning in this season? Section number 4, and I've actually kept the best for the last. These are light-hearted, fun questions that you could ask. They are not too serious. They are just questions to get you talking about some things that you're passionate about. And so the first question that I have for this section is, what's your go-to worship song when you are in your feelings? For someone like me that is very passionate about music, I believe that music is intimate, and just talking about or sharing about the kind of songs or the kind of music that someone listens to, I think it gives you a glimpse into what stirs their soul, into what makes them come alive. So this is a very interesting question to ask, and it can actually birth other questions where you kind of ask, oh, so who's your favorite artist? What kind of songs do you like listening to when you are, wide awake in the morning, or do you like to listen to music when you are going to bed? Just it gives you that fun vibe, especially if the other person is also a music lover. Trust me, you're going to enjoy having that conversation. Question number 2: what's your idea of a fun weekend? Weekend is rest, but it can also be joyful too. So are they someone that, they like cooking during the weekend? They just like going on nature walks, they like gardening, they like going for events like social events, they like worshiping with friends during the weekend. Maybe they have like a worship night with their friends, or they just enjoy reading, they enjoy watching movies. This kind of questions would give birth to other questions, just like the first one that I talked about what's their go-to music. So also asking about what their idea of a fun weekend looks like will give you an idea into what they like to spend their time doing when they are not busy. And you also want to know if your rhythm of rest is actually compatible, because you don't want someone that during the weekends when you want to rest, they are just all over the place going for different social events and they want you to go with them. So you want to know if you are both on the same wavelength for that, for that kind of scenario of how you spend your weekend. Okay. Question number 3: what's something that people often misunderstand about you? Asking this question allows them to open up and just allow you to see beyond the surface. You get to hear them speak from their heart and even maybe discover some hidden truths, and secrets that they don't really share with someone. But again, that's if they are comfortable sharing that with you. Question number 4: if you could serve in a ministry for a year, what ministry would it be and why? These questions help you learn more about their gifting and what they are passionate about, especially when it comes to the things of God. It could be like the children ministry, it could be the tech ministry, the technical department in church, it could be evangelism ministry, it could even be worship ministry. It just kind of gives you an idea of what they actually enjoy doing for God. Their answer would also give you insight into their calling and their purpose. And I believe this is even a better way to kind of ask them about their calling and their purpose without actually asking them directly. Okay, so for those that are wondering, but I want to know their purpose, I want to know their vision, I want to know if they have a plan for their life. Yes, asking this question would enable you to determine what their passion is about, to determine what their calling is about without necessarily asking for their vision 2050. You get what I mean? You can just ask it in a very light-hearted way and they just start talking and you just listen. That's all you need to do. Finally, question number 5: what makes you feel loved? This is another way for you to ask what's their love language. Again, I feel like what you really need to do is how you can translate some of these rigid, structured questions into a fun question. Like, how do you feel loved? How do you express love to other people? You don't necessarily have to go ask them, so what's your love language? That's boring. All right? Do better. So, what makes you feel loved? And I believe that asking this question is going to help you understand their love language, particularly because I think that understanding someone's language is going to save you a lot of headache, is going to save you a lot of confusion. And I don't just want you to ask this question because you just want to ask. Genuinely ask this question because you genuinely want to know how they feel loved, and be intentional about it and actually start to show that to them. I mean, if you want them to fall quickly for you, but that's just a pro tip. Just incorporate this, and a lot of times people would actually give love the way they want to receive love. So you need to also pay attention, not just to what they are saying, but also the way that they act and the way that they behave. All right, my friend, that's everything that I have for you on this episode. I hope these 20 questions, I hope they bless you, guide you, and protect you from boring dates. Remember, God has not called us to date with confusion, but with clarity. So you are allowed to ask intentional questions. You're allowed to say, God, show me what I need to see and not just what I need to feel. And most importantly, you are allowed to wait for the right person that God has for you and not the one that is available. If this particular topic or content encouraged you, please make sure to give it a like, subscribe so that you'll be the first person to get notified when I make a new upload like this. As well, leave a comment. Also, make sure to share with your family and friends. That particular friend that keeps attracting projects instead of partners, please send it to them so that they can start dating with clarity. All right. Till I come your way again next time. Thank you so much for listening. Stay blessed.